Greetings, Voyagers. Well, we're back in Salem. Today is Saturday, May 2nd. It's a beautiful day here today. We got down here Thursday afternoon, stayed Thursday night, last night. Yesterday I was going to get some work done. I actually did get some work done on the van. Well, first thing was I got my cortisone injection yesterday morning. And it didn't really give me any real relief until many hours later, but today it feels great. Wow, what a miracle drug cortisone is. So I needed to get my wheels aligned because when we were driving across from California and coming across Indiana, the highway, and it was an interstate too, Interstate 70, running straight across west to east, east-west Indiana. That highway was so full of potholes and big cracks and gaps. There were times when I had to slow down to 45 miles an hour just so I could dodge the potholes. But it was really rough. I hit some big ones, and it's, one time I almost lost control of the van. These things, you're trying to do 60 miles an hour at least out on a highway, but boy, you're behind a truck and all of a sudden this truck goes over these big potholes and you don't have time to swerve, at least not at 60 miles an hour. And you hit these big potholes and my wheels really took a beating. So I figured it was the best thing to do when I got back to get my wheels aligned. So I went into the garage yesterday, and also when I was out in Colorado, when Frank Sullivan, Sully's Speed Shop. Hi Frank, how you doing? His diagnostic showed that I needed a new right front wheel speed sensor. It has to do with the ABS braking, I think. So that came up as faulty on his diagnosis. So he said, you're going to want to replace that sometime. So I finally figured, well, if I'm going to have the van in for repairs, I'll do that too. I looked up the cost of the part online, so I didn't think it was going to be an expensive job. But so I took the van in yesterday. I was going to get the wheel alignment, the speed sensor, and the van had started making a rattling noise just a few days ago from underneath. Something came loose and it's rattling and making a really annoying sound. So brought it in yesterday. They didn't even get to the alignment. They started with the speed sensor, and they ran into all kinds of problems. They said there were stripped bolts that they could not drill out, and some other problems. And while they had the wheel off, they noticed that the brake pads were really thin, and they were. There was not much left of them. So I had to have the brake pads replaced too. So with all that and all the labor, so then went, I think it actually came out to $800. So then went my stimulus check. I got my stimulus check from the government for $1,200 day before yesterday. That was a thrill. But 800 of it went right out into the van, but that's okay. Because I needed to get that work done. The van is safer now, and I feel better for having gotten that work done. So I'm just charging up the battery. Today's Saturday. We're going to spend the night here, and then we'll leave tomorrow to go back up to Maine. And I have to stop on the way back up. I rented a storage unit, and in Bangor. So I'm going to load up the van from my storage unit here in Salem. I'm going to cram as much stuff in it as I can. We'll stop in Bangor and unload and then head up to the camp. But I feel so much better today. I still have some soreness, but I think that's muscle pain and like tendons, ligaments, because I was doing a lot of, all that down on my knees and, shoveling. That was a lot of work. Yeah, and I'm pretty happy with the quality of the video from this Samsung. The image is really sharp and the color is good. And it has its own built-in image stabilizer, so you may have noticed that my smartphone videos aren't as shaky anymore. And as soon as I get that gimbal out and get that going, I'll drop this smartphone in there with its own image stabilization and the gimbal. My video should now be smooth as silk. So my general delivery mail that was supposedly, allegedly, mailed from South Dakota 2 weeks ago to the general delivery in Salem has not showed up. So I don't know what's up with that, but I may have lost some mail. I'm going to have to call them on Monday and ask them to verify what address they sent it to. They may have mistaken. I certainly told them to send it to Salem, Mass. They may have sent it to Salem, New Hampshire, or Salem, Oregon, for all I know. So that's life today. It's looking good, though. Feeling better. It's a beautiful sunny day. Weather's finally warming up. Get back up to Maine tomorrow, and we'll be able to shower again. And I'll set up the table outside, and I'll start doing some cooking and baking. I'll have to buy some kitchen utensils. I need some mixing bowls and spoons and things like that. I bought, I think, 3 packages of gluten-free bread mix. I am gluten-free. I have celiac. It's not a fad diet for me. It's a existential necessity that I be gluten-free. So I'm hoping to do some baking and do some cooking. I'll be cooking omelets. I bought a dozen eggs. I have a non-stick fry pan now up there. And so I'll start doing some cooking and some baking. I bought an oven. I bought a Coleman Camp oven. And it folds out. It's one of those aluminum box type things that folds out, and it's got a couple of trays in it and a door on the front. And I'm going to do some baking. I'll be roasting chickens and all kinds of good stuff. I have a 2-burner Coleman stove now. It's 10,000 BTU propane. So I think I'll probably buy a small pressure cooker and make some beef stew and pot roast and just have myself a hell of a time out there in the woods. Drive the bears crazy, boy. I have to be careful with your food scraps up there. There's bears and raccoons and coyotes and foxes and eagles and crows. So anyway, it feels good to be alive today with all this coronavirus. Massachusetts being the 3rd most infected state in the country. It would be nice to hang out here in Salem for a little while longer, but I want to get the hell out. I feel much safer up in my place. Maine only has, I think, probably less than 2,000 infected people, and they've only had about, I shouldn't say only because any death is too many, but comparatively speaking to other states, they've only had about, I think, 55 fatalities from the virus in Maine, and those were mostly people in nursing homes or veterans homes or wherever who were really aged and had underlying conditions. So Maine so far has been spared the ravages, and let's hope it stays that way. But I feel a lot safer up there because I am a lot safer up there. So that's a wrap for today. Another one. I hope you all are well, staying safe, and having fun.